Europe has no choice but to assume more responsibility for its own security, European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen told a security conference in Munich on Saturday as she called on European leaders to instill momentum into mutual defense commitments. Von der Leyen also referred to NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte's comments that Europe is not in a position to guarantee its security alone at this point. Von der Leyen said an independent Europe means not constantly leaning on someone else. She, however, called for more cooperation between the EU and the UK.
Europe needs to step up and has to take on its responsibility. Admittedly, it has taken some shock therapy, and some lines have been crossed that cannot be uncrossed anymore. Europe, and in particular the UK, should come closer on security, on economy, on defending our democracies. 10 years from Brexit, our futures are as bound as ever, dear Keir.
Von der Leyen's speech came after U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio sought to reassure a nervous Europe that Washington wanted to revitalize the transatlantic alliance so that a strong Europe could help the U.S. on its mission of global renewal. Speaking about Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky described Europe not being at the negotiating table for peace talks with Russia and the U.S. as a big mistake. Zelensky called on the EU to do more to clamp down on Russia's shadow fleet, as he expressed hope that another round of talks next week will be serious and helpful.
Russian forces launched a massive aerial wave against Ukraine overnight, deploying over 100 kamikaze drones and ballistic missiles. Ukraine's Air Force intercepted 91 drones, but at least 18 struck targets across 11 different locations. As a result, in Odessa, 1 woman in a residential fire was killed. In Zaporizhzhia, 1 was killed, 3 were wounded. In Sumy, a 44-year-old woman was killed and 3 people were injured. And in Kherson, 2 were killed and 4 were wounded, all according to agencies and Ukrainian media. Also in Kiev Oblast, a man and a woman were hospitalized with injuries, and in Kharkiv Oblast, a Russian drone strike on the village of Fesky injured a 22-year-old man, regional governors reported. The escalation comes as the Munich Security Conference opens, where German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and US Secretary of State Marco Rubio are discussing military aid to Ukraine. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny was poisoned by the Kremlin with a lethal toxin derived from the skin of poisoned dart frogs, 5 European countries said Saturday. The foreign ministries of the UK, France, Germany, Sweden and the Netherlands said analysis of samples from Navalny, who died 2 years ago, have conclusively confirmed the presence of epibetidine. The countries expressed in a joint statement that Russia had the means, motive and opportunity to administer this poison. They reported Russia to the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons for a breach of the Chemical Weapons Convention.
Supporters of Iran's exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi rallied on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference, where world leaders are gathered to discuss global security and explore cooperation. As many as 200,000 people joined a major protest in the southern German city to oppose the theocratic Iranian regime amid ongoing anti-government protests. Protesters carried placards, waved flags, and banged on drums, chanting for regime change as they participated in what Pahlavi called a global day of action. Pahlavi, son of Iran's last Shah, addressed the conference on Saturday, where he praised Washington for its stance and called for further action to end the regime's brutality. He also thanked U.S. President Donald Trump for his additional defense deployments and urged him to deliver the help he promised the Iranian people at their time of need. Speaking on Friday, Trump confirmed that he had deployed an additional aircraft carrier group to the region as his administration weighs military action in Iran. He also criticized the incumbent leadership in Tehran, noting that a regime change would be, quote, the best thing that could happen.
It seems like that would be the best thing that could happen.